Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the semi-brand new Hasbro Marvel Legends series Daredevil Born Again version of Daredevil here. Very excited to finally have this here. I was late to pre-orders and just didn't bother doing that. I couldn't find this at retail stores near me, but I did find this, I think, last week on Amazon. Finally picked that up. Wasn't entirely in love with this season that came out earlier this year. I thought it was all over the place. But one thing for certain, Charlie Cox as Daredevil, he still got it, man. Haven't picked up the Punisher yet because that looks kind of rough. So I'm going to need to, consider that one. Definitely wanted to pick this one up here. I might do a comparison with the, previous Netflix Daredevil. It would be very quick if I can find it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the box. It does have a warning choking hazard there, as well as the figure in the box. It does say Marvel Legends series. Just a little bit of a backdrop in there. It does say Daredevil. Some of the other contents you see there, it does say Marvel Television. Daredevil Born Again. We do have the Hasbro logo. This is ages 4 and up. I'm wondering, is the Punisher more adult on that? Like it's like 14 plus, or is that also 4 and up? I haven't checked yet. Because I know the Daredevil, the Deadpool and Wolverine figures were 14 plus. Daredevil logo up there. Just going to go ahead and give you a look at the bottom here. Not much going on, but if I zoom in like this, if it's not too bright, hopefully you can get a quick image of that barcode right there if you're looking for it. So this side here, this actually is a really nice box. I'm digging the like gray texturing on there, like a wall almost, and you have this really cool illustration of Daredevil there. It does say Marvel Legends series. On the opposite side, you are going to get Marvel Legends series again, the character's name, and then this side profile image right there looks quite nice. I'm really digging all that art. On the back here, that art that was on this side right here is right there. So let's actually give you a good look at that. It does say Marvel Legends series. We zoom in a little bit. You could get all that multilingual read up going on right there. Pretty nice. All the different multilingual warnings as well with the Marvel and Hasbro logo. So let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. Here is the figure out of the packaging, and I quite like this a lot. I think they did a really good job here. There are a couple things that make me scratch my head in terms of decisions, but that's kind of how I felt about Marvel Legends for like a little over a year at this point. Still quite a nice figure. Let's go ahead, take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. This is one of the decisions that makes me go, huh? Why did they do this? And it is the sets of hands. The figure comes packaged with gripping hands for the batons. These here are just one expressive hand for different poses, like he's throwing the baton, I guess, and then just one fist. No other of each side, so you don't get a full set of these. That would have been nice just to give us a little bit more. Yeah, I don't really get that. I feel like it could have been really easy to do it, and I just don't like that they skipped out. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but I just don't see the reason why that much. Like, really, it was going to cost that much for just 2 hands? Paint apps are fine. Nothing bad, just one base coat, it looks like, of this like faded red. A little bit of a splotch on the index finger on the left hand. There's some knuckles sculpted in the gloves too, which looks pretty nice. Then not much detailing in the palm. There's a little bit of some wrinkles and creases in the fist as well. As you see there, that's not bad at all. We do get 2 of these exact kind of clubs. I'm gonna probably need to turn this down a little. There we go. I really do like the silver paint. I'm digging that. And these actually are not the exact same. I'm starting to see yeah, so they don't come together. Yeah, so I just realized that. I thought they would. But there's ports at the end here for the next accessory I'll show off. There's some silver on top there. I think they just needed to get the silver on there. And they're like, if it gets on top, it's whatever. Which it's going to be hidden when you have the, little wire in there, which is fine. Larger silver section here compared to this side here. Really digging that. I'm sure someone's going to do something where you can maybe connect these two. I bet somebody can make an adapter piece. Let's focus up again, shall we? The ends here, they're not the cleanest. Looks like they snipped something off here, so yeah. But I do like the silver at the very ends. At least they tried. The texturing in the actual handles are really cool, I will say that. You do get weapon storage on the hip. I'm going to assume that the one with the larger silver section goes here. Goes all the way down there. This section doesn't cover all the way. You could push past that if you want, so just be careful. I mean, it's not going to break or anything. Just if you're doing toy photos and it may look out of whack, just keep that in mind. Push this one in there. They actually sit in there quite nice. And then pulling these out is much easier. Well, they stop right here. Okay, never mind. There we go. It's easier than the previous one, which was still pretty good on the previous one. Last but not least is how they did this wire section here. This is a pretty long piece, but it is not a bendy wire, so that's a little disappointing. I still like how this looks, though. I like the detailing on it, and I do like that it's a little bit pre-posed. At least it's pre-posed, not just like one straight line. I'm sure some people would want a straight line. This section here is basically a straight line, so you can always use that. And just like, it's a little hard to see because I'm gonna have to get closer and closer, but that texturing all around is really good on this. It's a pretty soft piece of plastic, so you shouldn't worry about bending it too much. Maybe if you go too straight and just push and pull too hard, something will break, of course. Then you have these sections here with these little ridges on the end. All you need to simply do is insert something like this right here, and if I do it on camera, I'm probably gonna mess it up. Yeah, so just take your time when you do that, because you could break that peg section off on in here, and that would not be good. This one's a little trickier. And there you go. You have the full wire baton connection. And I think all of that, if I can focus up here, all of that actually looks pretty nicely done, I will say. I do want to show off the fists from the previous figure on this new figure. These will work with it. Might be a tiny bit loose at the rotation, but you can maybe tighten that up. Still works really nice. They're not going to be the accurate colors, of course. You'd have to paint those up. It's not going to be the accurate looking gloves, but if you did want to have, two of the same type of fist for this figure, and you had an extra pair of the previous ones for some reason, or you don't care how these look, just use the old ones on the new ones, they are compatible. What isn't compatible, sadly, is the Matt Murdock head from the No Way Home version of Matt Murdock. Very disappointing here. I feel like Marvel Legends used to do a pretty good job of figure compatibility. Like, one version of a character would come out, then that part would be compatible with a different version of that same character. I feel like they don't do that anymore. So yeah, this head, he's got glasses on, so it may be a little weird because this Daredevil wouldn't have glasses if he's unmasked. Anyway, I just wish that in a little bit that maybe we got an extra head. Unmasked head, or at least this would have been compatible. It's very much not. Look how high it sits on that new head. Then that, masked head sits really low on that suit body. So that's rather unfortunate. So here's an idea of how both of these look side by side. The one on the right, that is the previous one from 2017, the Man-Thing series, I believe. And then we have the new one on the left. I think they're about the same height, so they captured that pretty well. And, I'm not going to go too crazy on every little difference here. These are completely different outfits of the same version of Daredevil, or, actor for Daredevil, I guess I should say. And, yeah, you can just tell how different they are. I think when it comes to proportions, I think the head might be a little bit too big on the previous one. I think the, upper shoulder section here also is a little too blocky, maybe. I think it's done a little bit more naturally on the new one, and it's been in almost 8 years, so they've had time to kind of figure that out if things were a little bit off. Even if I say it's off, it's really not that bad on this one. This was still a really fantastic figure when it released, and it continues to be one still. Texturing on the suits is a little bit better on the, it's really good on both, just a little bit better on the new one. Kind of tells you maybe they should have put maybe a little bit more effort into the new one for texturing. It still looks really good because for 2017 this is also still really nicely textured. Some paint apps have always been missing a little bit. There's a little bit of red in this black crotch area there. And then some things I think I've done on, it's been almost decades since I've had this, so I think some things have just happened on its own, like some paint rub on the back here. I don't know if this stuff has been here or if I did that. I've tried to, this is one of my favorite action figures ever, straight up. Definitely in the Marvel Legends line, so I try to keep this as nice as possible, but again, completely different outfits, so just talking about how the body proportions are done, they're completely different looking sculpts, of course. But they both look really good. I really, if you wanted to stick with the previous one, I wouldn't blame you. New one also couldn't blame you. Getting both like me, yeah, for me at least, no brainer, because just both of these are really, really awesome. So taking a look at the head sculpt here, this looks really good. It's gonna be hard to tell because he has a full mask cowl thing going on with him, but I do see Charlie Cox a lot in this head sculpt. Maybe it's not perfect. I don't think either of these are perfect when it comes to this one here. It's getting close, but not 100%. And then in some angles in the Netflix show, he does actually kind of look like this, or has a little bit of a bigger jaw. Mainly, I think it's because of how the, his mask is done. I'm gonna have to decide that this new one does it a little bit better. Again, you guys know how I feel about the old one. I still love it. The texturing is still just really fantastic here. Really digging it. I think it could be still a little bit better compared to the previous one, but there's so much going on there that it really is impressive. We do have some line detailing, almost like some panels all the way around the entire, mask, basically helmet at this point, how that looks. Nice horns. We have some gray breaking up the red in there. The gray around the ear sections, we have that smooth ear section with some texturing in front of it. But, these are a separate, separate pieces. We have the red and then the rest of the bottom of the half there of the actual head sculpt, which does look good. But because of that, we have some breaking, some parts breaking up here around the skin tone, I guess that would be. And I do like how they did the wrinkles there. It's a little bit of a darker, like almost black, but it is still a dark gray going on here compared to this little bit lighter gray. And then we do have a little, I feel like, so I think the top of this collar is supposed to be black, and then there's red bleeding on here. But I'm not entirely sure. Maybe there's just a little bit too much black. But these little mishaps there, you really can't see them. I'm just looking really hard because I'm looking at my viewfinder. The lighter gray, it's still pretty dark, but the lighter gray in different sections around the chest and on top of the shoulders looks great. Then you have these separate sections that go into, they're separate pieces of plastic for the butterfly joint there. They're a little bit darker too, a little bit of a black splotch there, a little unfortunate, not too bad though. Texturing around the rest of this body is also still really good, and a lot of nice line sections here. Wherever it meets, like different colors basically, where the gray meets the red, there's like some nice indent sections of these lines. Getting right here around the rib cage, there's this little section there, which has some nice paint. I think red is bleeding through just ever so slightly, but you really are not going to be able to tell that much. I think you could kind of tell a little bit with how they do these like very thin gray lines. They're supposed to be painted gray. Yeah, I can see an entire gray section painted above where it should be. It will blend in because you're not going to be looking too hard. That's just something to notice. Maybe you could touch that up on your own. I like how they did like the padded sections on the abs too. We have some articulation here. So we do have a little bit of paint actually going on here before we get to the gappage for the ball joint there. And then this does continue a little bit, but again, there's some gappage. The arms have great texturing too. I think it's a little bit better on the helmet and the chest compared to the arms, but still really nice. Again, not a lot of nice like lighter gray sections painted onto just these different line sections onto the arms. I'm sure it's not super easy to get that done in a factory. So I will say that for the most part, even with some minor mishaps, I think Hasbro did a pretty good job getting those. Lots of wrinkles, and then we have the pinless tech, of course. Wrinkles are looking pretty good. These like gauntlet sections. Okay, there's a gray speck right there. I wish that could not be there. I could probably get that off later. But the way that these gauntlets look are really good. This hand here with the knuckles right there. And then the red on there, there's this really long seam line. You see that? I don't know if it's supposed to be there. Maybe, but yeah, that looks good. And let's look at the other side real quick because it's just kind of symmetrical. It's also here too, so maybe that is supposed to be... I feel like I didn't see it in these other hands. Yeah, so I don't really know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping. I'm not sure. The belt looks pretty good though. We have some nice red and black going on in there. I'm really actually digging a lot of detailing in that belt. It's not super detailed with leather or anything, but just really clean sculpt work overall. You can see how the glutes look with the wrinkles around here, texturing, line work as well. These gray paint around here on the sides. And that's what the front looks like. These lines, I mean, if you're going to move this, the line's going to break up no matter what. But the way that that is almost kind of flush, even when you have those joints in there, still looks really good. That breaks up when you move that pretty badly. We'll talk about articulation in a second though. Still pretty nice. Long seam line all the way down the leg there, looking really good. Wrinkles around the back of the legs. Little line section there is also pretty nicely done. Buckles are here too. Pretty good. And then these holsters for the batons also look great. Just mostly red with a little bit of gray in there, but still pretty nice. It is a softer plastic, especially this section right here. Getting down to the knee pads, again, light gray there. Not the greatest texturing on there, but really not bad at all. Then you kind of, well, okay, so this whole red joint breaks this up, sadly. But then you have how the boot is done, where it's like slightly slanted up here, I guess. Wrinkles around the shins. The actual boots look really good. They actually did a really good job with the buckles here. And yeah, and there too. Really digging that. It's more of a matte finish here, where all this is kind of a little bit glossy. So kind of like how they broke up the detailing to just make it look like a different type of material. With that, yeah, that's very nicely done. Top of the feet there, nothing crazy. Just these special boots, the detailing on the sides of each foot. Inside too, looking nice. Not a lot of treading, but you get some of that copyright down there. So yeah, I really do dig when Hasbro does the more realistic figures. They really go all out. Well, I wouldn't say go all out, but in terms of their normal standard, which I don't blame when they do comic figures that are a little bit more simple, they comparatively they go all out when it comes to stuff like this. Now, one area some people have problems with apparently is articulation. Let me take a look at it, see, come to my own consensus, I guess. Pop this off. So we do have a traditional hinge here. I kind of like when they do dumbbell joints more. We have a little bit of a ball joint going on there. But that range of motion goes up really high, actually. And then we do have a ball joint in here. So you will get some tilt in a second. The down look actually looks really good, even without that extra joint going on. Side to side. Yeah, really not that bad. I mean, it is a pretty big piece that's moving there. So maybe it's a little distracting, but the swivel there, absolutely no problems. Not crazy about lack of movement in his butterfly joint. You're going to want to mod that. Is this getting in the way at all? I'm not sure, but arms go all the way around. They do actually go out all the way, so I am impressed with that. Upper arm swivel here. Gummy joint, really not any gummy joints going on here. Double jointed elbow there is always nice. And these hands, I already talked about the other hands. They go in and out. These go up and down when it comes to the baton holding hands. Ball joint at the waist. I could be a little better, but I actually don't think that's terrible. I have been seeing people who have been doing mods where, they get a little bit more, just sculpt out of here, get a little bit more space. I'm not going to mod this right now. I actually think it's a little bit hard to move things, but I actually think the whole range of motion here is really not terrible. Could be a little better though. You also do get this separate waist twist, which I'm really glad they added in there. You don't get a full split, which, I don't know if it's super necessary for him, but it definitely could be better if you ask me. Legs can go forward. I wish those were better too. Not really back at all. Upper thigh swivel, there's no problem there. Is there any drop down? No. Double jointed knee going on there. Number one thing is that these are separate pieces of plastic. These boots meeting the calf here, but there is no boot swivel. If they even gave us maybe an ankle swivel here, do I have it? Yeah, just like the previous version, this really helps a lot. So disappointed we don't have that there, but down here at the foot and up, not too bad. Then an ankle rocker. Now measuring out this figure, we're looking at about 16 centimeters there. So that's getting pretty close to, let's see, 6.5, just under 6.5 inches. Both the 2017 Daredevil and Punisher, they're going to be about the same height. Maybe Punisher just a tiny bit taller. All of them are going to be a little bit taller than the Matt Murdock from No Way Home, unfortunately. And then a standard size Black Series figure is going to be shorter. Overall, really digging this figure. The more I've been messing around with it, the more I have been liking it. I don't know if it's going to surpass that 2017 Daredevil. I may have a bias for it, but I just really think it's a fantastic figure that's held up to this day. But this is a really nice new one if you can't get that previous one at all. A couple of whack decisions, if you just ask me, which is not a full set of hands when it comes to the different action posing hands. Just 2 gripping hands, 1 throwing hand, 1 fist. Really needed at least 2 more hands for each side when it came to the other posing. I do like the, batons. They're really nice. I do like that we have a wire for that as well. Maybe an unmasked head also would have been nice to have with this figure, since none of the ones, at least the one that came with the No Way Home figure, is not going to work at all. And then, you would have had an unmasked head that doesn't have glasses on, probably. Articulation and range of motion really could be a little bit better, mostly in the shoulders. And I think the head is not bad at all, actually. Maybe the torso a little bit, but that needed a calf swivel. Like, they could have done it, and I don't know why. Texturing and detailing all throughout the figure, for Hasbro standards, which they have to mass produce these, is really good, I think. So I am digging this. It's, getting like 25 to getting close to $27 now when it comes to these figures because of everything going on. But this one here, if you can get a little bit cheaper, I'm not sure how easy that is right now, then I would definitely recommend it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.